and the quality of that software and the ease of using that software to making films has allowed the marketplace to open up. And I think that's what's so important and so powerful and presents the opportunity to anybody who wants to make a film. Whether it's good or not, that's all about your skill. But the technology, the barrier to entry, I think has been greatly diminished. And because I'll come to later, but there are opportunities for distribution that didn't exist a few years ago, and thanks to all the new platforms. My start was Roger Rabbit. It was a seminal change for me to go from a career in the theatre, managing and working with actors all the time, developing stories, presenting them, being employed for as long as somebody was buying a ticket. And when they stopped buying tickets, I had to go and find another job. I suddenly, because I managed a show that in London that wasn't very successful, the critics didn't like us, we ran 5 weeks and closed, and I got a phone call, and it was from somebody who I knew at Disney, or had gone to work for Disney, and they were setting up a film called Who Framed Roger Rabbit in London, and they needed somebody to run the studio. And I got the job. And the most thrilling part about it was that instead of being reliant on people buying tickets for my salary, it was actually about being employed, guaranteed, for 18 months. And that's the length of time I worked on Roger Rabbit. And it turned out to be an incredibly successful film. It took me to America, ultimately, originally for a couple of years. But then it allowed me to work on all of those films that I showed you on my show reel. I got to work on all of them, either as a studio executive or as a producer. But I always brought with me the idea that it's a tool for telling stories. And we must never forget that. As you embark on telling stories using animation, never forget it. It's the most important part of it. But Roger was my start. And in fact, just last week, I screened the film. I'm currently over in Hong Kong at the moment, and I screened Roger Rabbit for some students there because the week before, one of the great animators, Richard Williams, died. He was 86 years old, was drawing to the very end of his career and had a fantastic life, but he was the genius behind the design of these characters and why the film was set up in London, actually. So, that's Roger Rabbit. Wow, it's hot in here, right? Or is it just me? Is it hot in this room? Jacket's coming off. Okay, so you want to be a producer. What does a producer do? All right, well, let me try and define what a producer does for you. Okay, I hang out with cartoon characters, right? Live action producers hang out with all the actors, all the movie stars. I get to hang out with cartoons. But really, this is what the